What's up guys, it's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was the Son of Great-red Part 4. Let's try to hit at least 300 likes, and if you guys want to know exactly when I upload, press the little blue button right next to the subscribe button and that'll be just it. So thank you guys all for the support on this series, and if you guys want to see more of it, you already know what to do. Hit the like and subscribe button. Alright, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Chapter 7. The Will to Protect. Despite the desperate situation, Issei was trying to find some way to help them escape this predicament they were in. With a bit of luck, he should be able to force his way out. Despite him being a child himself and not having much training, he was the son of 2 dragon gods, therefore possesses a great deal of strength, rivaling even a high-class devils according to his parents. However, this was only possible if he were by himself, unlike Akeno, who was not taught much about her Dharma powers yet by her parents and thus was not strong enough to deal with these enemies. At best, she might be able to deal a fatal damage to any 2-winged devil due to their weakness by holy lightning. However, her power does not currently possess the strength to deal with multiple enemies. Even the worst was that he could see many 4-winged devils as well as 6-winged devils, which does not bode well for him or them. As he was trying to formulate any plan of escape, one of the devils made his way towards them. His back displayed 8 wings, which most likely make him the leader of the group of the Misfits. Greetings to you, spawn of Ophis. My name is Valper Paimon. Pleasure to meet your acquaintance. With a graceful bow, the leader of the devils, known as Valper Paimon, introduced himself to Issei. The only served to cause even greater uneasiness to Issei. How do they know who I am? Was the thought currently go through his mind. It was less than the fact that they knew his name, but rather that they knew that Ophis was his mother. As far as he knows, his parents did everything in their power to ensure that his existence was kept a secret from everyone. The only people that know of him are Akeno and her family, but other than them, it should have been impossible for anyone else, much less the beings from the supernatural world to know of his identity. He became very frightened, not only for his safety, but also for Akeno's. He tried to contact his parents via magic as he was taught once, but no matter what, he was not able to connect through. Even Akeno tried using her phone, but to no avail. Valper, seeing what they were doing, interjected. I'm afraid that your efforts are futile. The barrier surrounding us will prevent any form of communication with the outside world. We cannot let that mother of yours intervene with our plans now, can we? Now, I will offer this only once. Surrender quietly and come with us. You are our priority target, and I would rather like to take in a one-piece boy. What is it you want? He tried asking them to buy as much time as he could. It is none of your business, boy, but let's just say that the Ouroboros dragon owes us something that we came to collect it. With a little bit of help from you. So, last chance to surrender, or we will take you by force. Issei understood that his indirect incantation that they wanted to use him to get away from his mother, which angered him greatly. I'll take your silent treatment as a no. Not very smart for you. But then again, what can you expect from a little brat? He began to issue orders to his subordinates. Men, please teach our junior here the error of his ways and get rid of the fallen angel scum behind him. As the devils finished surrounding him, Issei was evaluating his options. Issei really wanted to change into his dragon form, as it would greatly increase his chances of winning, but unfortunately he could not do so for 2 reasons. 1, his transformation, unlike his parents, requires time and concentration to perform, which will leave him vulnerable for the devils to dispatch him, although his body is naturally tough thanks to being a dragon. He could not take the risk. The second reason is being Akeno's safety. When he enters his dragon form, a massive shockwave of power erupts from his being, which would most certainly hurt her, if not outright kill her, due to their proximity. Thus, he resolved himself to fight without entering his strongest state. However, it does not mean he is entirely helpless. With a bit of training, his mother and father taught him how to transform parts of his body into dragon, and this he could do instantaneously after a lot of practice. His form slowly began to shift as his arm grew dark crimson scales and turned into claws. His legs went through the same metamorphosis, and from his back spawned 2 large dragon wings. Finally, his eyes turned into slits, with his body leaking aura all around, signaling that he was ready for battle. Normally, he would also grow a tail. However, due to the small mishap with his father, he seldom wishes to bring out. During one of his physical training sessions with Great-red, his father took things a bit too far when Issei dodged his strike only to grab his tail and literally bashed from the side to side, thus accidentally giving Issei a mental trauma regarding the use of his tail. Although this did promote Ophis to give Great-red the biggest beatdown of his life he ever experienced anyways, although the chances of something like that occurring here is very small. He did not want to risk it. The more limbs he has to worry about, the less effective he will be able to concentrate in battle. A few of the devils, mainly the weaker ones, were a bit frightened by the sight but reminded themselves that they were still dealing with a child. One overeager devil wanted to get this over with and charged toward Issei with his sword in hand. Before his superior could warn him, Issei intercepted with a burst of speed, unheard for a 7-year-old child, and sent a haymaker towards the devil's stomach, breaking his ribs and causing him to spurt blood as he was sent flying backwards, landing on an unfortunate devil and losing consciousness. Many were surprised by the power displayed by Issei, became hesitant to attack after that. "You fools, even if he is a child, do not forget he is the spawn of a dragon god," Valper stated. He began to issue orders to everyone. "Make sure to not to attack him individually. As you've seen, he is very strong despite being a child. The low-class devils should focus more on supporting them whenever you can. We must not fail this mission. Understood?" "Yes, sir!" A collective shout was heard, and that was a signal for them to start battles as two devils went to flank Issei. One of them came from his left and the other from the right. Under normal circumstances, a battle of this magnitude would be impossible for Issei. However, he possessed one advantage over his adversaries, and that was his natural-born instincts as a dragon. His father and mother had always told him to rely on his instincts in battle, because it was what takes dragons truly fearsome to deal with. They have never lied to him this day, so he will not start now considering he is literally fighting for his life. Letting his instincts guide him, he dodged his first incoming attack by shifting to the side, and using the momentum spun around to deliver a roundhouse kick to the devil's face, which instantaneously knocked him unconscious. He then unleashed a fire breath towards the other devil, reducing him to ash. Seeing this, several devils began shooting demonic projectiles trying to defeat him in long-range attacks. However, Issei used his wings to shield him as the projectiles hit him, leaving barely any scratches. While Issei was focused on defending from long-range assault, another devil tried to use his advantage to blindside him and attack him by only hitting him by a lightning bolt, stunning him courtesy of Akeno. This gave Issei enough time to recognize the situation and immediately punched him, blasting him far away distance. He looked over to Akeno to thank her. "Thanks for the save, Akeno," he smiled to her. "Anytime," Issei, she replied as she smiled back as they both refocused on their enemies. Valper was frustrated that they were taking way longer than it should have been. He barked even more orders. "What the hell are you doing? Have you forgotten that the dragons are highly resistant to magic, to use only to provide support while melee attacks get into position? I do not want to see any more screws, or I will personally deal with the incompetence, and someone get rid of that disgusting fallen one." The battle resumed and the devil followed the orders. Although Valper was an evil bastard, you could tell he was more experienced as a commander who was used to battle. The first wave of devils started clanging both of them. Issei placed himself in front of Akeno to protect her while she was using to provide as much support as she could with her holy powers. A devil takes flight to attack from above as he dives towards him, and another stronger devil simultaneously attacks him with a burst of speed from the side, thrusting a demonic empowered fist towards Issei. Surprised by the speed displayed, Issei had no choice but to brace himself and cross his arms, taking the empowered strike with his body, making him slide a few feet away from his original position, showing how strong the strike was. Another devil shot a demonic beam towards Issei, hoping to distract him from his ally assault, but the attack was intercepted by Akeno's holy lightning. With the beam dealt with, Issei was able to quickly shift his focus towards the incoming assault from above. Using his wings as a barrier, he was able to deflect the incoming attack to his side, causing the opening in his devil's defense and striking him to the ground. While Issei was preoccupied, a few devils tried to bypass Issei in order to strike Akeno, but even through her lightning was not that strong. It was enough to delay them, while Issei, having emerged from assault unscathed, finished them off with either his fire or physical strength. Multiple attackers soon launched themselves towards him. The first swung in a wide arc towards Issei's right section, causing Issei to dodge to his left, where the other one was lying in wait and quickly thrust his blades towards Issei's chest, but in a remarkable display of acrobatics, was able to leap over him, and this time, flying into the air, his dragon wings came from sailing down, crashing into the devil ground, causing a small crater to appear underneath him. All of a sudden, his instincts warned him of impending danger, as he jumped from his spot in time to dodge Six-Winged Devil, who almost managed to cleave him in half. While in the air, he launched his breath, killing a few supporters while managing to critically injure the Six-Winged Devil. He landed on the ground only to find himself bombarded, with more projectiles causing him to focus on his defense. Suddenly, in brief opening caused by the devils, Valper was quickly attacked Issei from his blind spot, which separated him from Akeno. Not even his instincts were fast enough to warn him, as he landed a few feet away from his side, bleeding a bit. Valper smirked and taunted Issei. Although you possesses the power of a dragon god, it is useless if you do not know how to utilize it in combat. So be a good boy and submit already, and you will not get hurt. He laughed a bit while multiple four-winged devils went forth to continue the assault on Issei, not allowing him even a moment to breathe. At the moment, he heard Akeno sneer, quickly turning his attention to her. Damn it, he silently cursed to himself, for not realizing that he had been separated from Akeno, which was most likely Valper's plan considering the big grin on his face. His worst fears coming true. Without him bearing the brunt of the assaults, Akeno became vulnerable. She's simply not strong enough to deal with this many enemies by herself. Her lightning might make the lesser devils worry, but the stronger ones would barely feel a thing, as shown by Valper moments ago. Taking his shot, a two-winged devil shot projectiles towards which luckily missed, hitting just in front of her, but still caused her to fall backwards, which caused the shriek he heard before. Seeing her fall, the devil quickly drew his sword and charged towards her. Fortunately, she was able to react in time and gather her lightning shot, and the devil, who could not dodge due to his charge and was not hit, and when it was hit point blank and reduced to ash. No sooner did he start breathing a sigh of relief that she was able to deal with the enemy, panic took hold of his heart. To his despair, he noticed another devil attacking from Akeno's blind spot, with a sword in hand and ready to dissipate her head. Even worse, he still had to deal with multiple enemies coming towards him. He had to find a way to quickly get rid of them in order to be able to save Akeno. One of the assailants shot several projectiles towards him as the two rushed him, aiming to take him down. Normally, he would simply dodge them as he was pressed for time. He decided to try something else. When the shots were about him, he hit him, and he used wings to parry. He used his wings to parry and redirect the shots back towards one of the attackers. It worked like a charm as the attacker got hit and was killed, and also destabilized the other one that was charging at him. He quickly took action as Issei took the devil's arm and swung him over the shoulder towards the range. The attacker, stunning both of them for a moment, was all he really wanted. Using his momentum, he gained from this movement. He launched himself towards Akeno, praying that he would make it in time. However, his natural instincts could tell not the inevitable conclusion he tried very hard to deny. He knew that he wasn't going to make it to her in time. Everything started appearing in slow motion. His mind tried to come up with any ideas to save Akeno. What do I do? What do I do? Something, anything, or Akeno-chan will die. Despair was setting in that he saw he wasn't going to make it. Akeno! He screamed when all of a sudden his body seemed to move at lightning speed, and he suddenly found himself on the back of Akeno, just as the devil was about to dissipate her. He did not know how he got there, but he had no time to question this miracle as he crossed his wings to shield him and Akeno from this blow. When the sword hit, it slapped into two pieces, being able to pierce through thick scales. How did he... was all the devil managed to say before Issei, taking advantage of his blunder, struck a blow, sending him soaring towards a tree, saving Akeno in the process, who looked behind her just to notice him save her. Thank you, Issei, she said. No problem. Just try to be careful of your surroundings, he said, which she nodded in return. Issei noticed that she was starting to breathe heavily, signaling how tired she was becoming, which makes sense, since unlike him, who possessed an immense amount of energy, she never really experienced any time of extreme training, much less a fight. So the situation was getting worse for both of them. Eventually, he will run out of stamina, and they will become easy pickings for the devils. The previous ability he used, although unknown, used quite a bit of stamina. He tried to call out whatever power he used to save Akeno, but it didn't work, so he thought it might have been a one-time thing. Well now, you were just full of surprises, aren't you? Valper exclaimed, not fully understanding how little Runt managed to intercept the attack. It seemed though he would teleported, but not did it appear that away. Anyways, he needed to finish as soon as possible, otherwise Beelzebub would have his head. He already lost several devils to a mere children, which is something that will greatly displease Xiaoba, so he had to make his objective success with his wrath. It seemed I will have to deal with this myself. Making his decision, Valper stormed towards Issei, who noticed him and this time was ready to intercept. Issei and Valper started to exchange blows with one another. Although Valper had more battle experience than Issei, his instincts were able to help him dodge in the devil's blows. Unfortunately, there are times that Valper's blows do hit Issei. Although his instincts can keep up with his enemy, his body has yet to develop and match his instincts. Still, his defenses managed to reduce the magic dealt by Valper whenever he landed hits thanks to his scales, the natural tough defense of the dragon's helpful body. Issei rushed towards and sent a hook towards Valper's face. Seeing the attack coming, Valper simply swayed his body back a bit to dodge the attack. Issei realized a little too late that the mistake he made, because his left side is vulnerable, as Valper took full advantage of the counterattack with a punch enhanced with demonic energy straight to the face, prompting a cry of pain from Issei as blood trickled down to his lips while sending him flying across the field. Thankfully, he utilized his wings to regain his balance and managed to land right up beside Akeno, who used her lightning to dispatch two winged devil who got close. He also blocked a demonic shot that was aimed at her by crossing his arm and taking the hit for her, although it was nothing but a scratch to him. "Are you okay, Akeno?" he asked her without looking at her, always keeping his eyes on the enemy without dropping his guard, especially Valper. "Well now, it seems you are incredibly persistent. Despite being a child, you have managed to deal quite a hefty amount of damage here. Even dispatching some of our lower level devils in the future, you would have become quite a menace. Yet, you are really starting to drive my patience, you little brat. In fact, this has gone long enough. Originally, we were planning to retrieve you in one piece, but as long you are alive, our objective will be, so it is time to end this." Valper started forming a spear of demonic energy between his hands. Issei could tell that he was gathering an immense amount of demonic energy. Normally, an attack like this would kill a child such as yourself, but your natural defenses will keep you alive, although barely, which is more than I can say for a fallen angel behind you. This is the end, as he shot a demonic blast towards them. Issei quickly got in front of Akeno and gathered as much power as he could in bits of his stomach and launched his own very dragon's roar as the orange wave of fire burst forth. Both attacks collided and the center started pushing against one another, trying to dominate the other. The stalemate did not last long as Valper's attack was slowly pushing back Issei's attack. Issei tried to output more into his attack, yet it seemed to his current limit. His mind recalled his earlier training with his parents. Flashback. So we're going into his mindscape, basically, of where he's having a flashback. Issei was practicing in the dimensional gap with his father to utilize his breath attack. He gathered as much power as possible in the center of his stomach, then expelled the flame outwards. Unfortunately, the results were unsatisfactory for Issei. While his dad praised him to be able to generate a roar that could annihilate any four-winged devil / fallen angel, or angel especially for the youngling of only 7 years of age, Issei felt his attack was lacking and did not give him the impact his parents' breath do. "What am I doing wrong, Dad? I'm doing this exactly as you told me, yet my own power is not doing what I wanted." He started complaining to his dad he found absolutely adorable. He and Ophis really enjoyed whenever Issei has a temper tantrum, although they would never tell him that he simply chuckled at his son's display. "I want to be as cool and as strong as you guys in order to make you proud," Issei said. "I understand, Issei, but what you were talking about is more along the lines of motivation. You must find something worth treasuring your entire being. Dragons are beings of fearsome might, especially when protecting that they hold dear. It can literally be anything, my son. For Tanin, it is preservation of the dragon's race. For the heavenly dragons, Drake and Albion, it will be their rivalry to one another. For Fafnir, it is the collection of treasures he collected over the centuries. Hell, even a lust for battle, as seen with the evil dragons, are a source of their almighty strength. Each one of them have something they could dedicate their entire being to. You just need to figure out what it is. Your mother and I cannot help you in that regard. This is your journey, your life. It'll be up to you what to figure out you want it to be. And for the record, Issei, no matter what type of dragon you wish to become or how powerful you are, know that Ophis and I will always forever to be eternally proud of you, because you're our treasure. That we hold dearest, it always has been you. Your father is absolutely right about that, Issei. No matter what you do, We will always love you because you are our son, Ophis added as she formed a wonderful smile towards him. This caused Issei to cry a bit, and he hugged his parents, so happy that they have the support no matter what. Alright. Enough of the sippy-sappy display. Let's continue training, Great-red said, which continued everyone to chuckle a bit. Issei responded with, yes. That is the end of the flashback. Recalling his father's words, he started thinking, what kind of dragon do I want to be, he asked himself. However, no matter what, his decision would not change from the answer he gave his father. He wants to be as strong and majestic like his father, graceful, loving like his mother. His parents will always be his idols regarding what kind of awesome and cool-looking dragon he wants to be. What do I treasure most, he thought to himself. His mind wandered to the people who were close to him, his father and mother, Auntie Shuri, Uncle Barkle, especially Akeno. Valper's blast was inching closer and closer. I want to protect those I love. All of a sudden, he felt a surge of power gush from his being as he suddenly felt increased in both intensity and size. In addition, the color of the fire changed from an orange hue to a dark crimson, just like his scales. His newfound strength slowly began to overpower Valper's attack. Seeing this sudden reversal, Valper became frustrated since he held the advantage just a moment ago. What the hell is happening? Where did this surge of power come from? He screamed as he tried to add even more power to his attack. However, it seemed to have no effect. His allies tried adding their own power to aid him. However, the moment their attack came close to Issei's fire, they evaporated from the sheer intensity of it. No, this cannot be. I refuse to be defeated by a mere infant. I will not be defeated here, you damn monster. He tried everything as he could, but nothing mattered as his blast quickly dissipated as Issei's breath attack enveloped Valper. Curse you, dragon! He cursed as he took his last life of breath. Huge explosions followed whenever his breath traveled, causing a massive amount of smoke. After the dust cleared, Issei's that his breath attack scorched the leader as any unfortunate devil caught in a wave of ashes. The force of his attack was also powerful enough to destroy part of the barrier that surrounded them. The remaining devils could not believe their eyes at the destruction the boy caused. The power he demonstrated was enough to destroy their leader with little resistance, as he was powerful enough to have 4 pairs of wings. What a monster. What was going through each one of their minds, as their bodies shook in fear of the overwhelming display in front of them. Seeing that his breath attack destroyed many devils, including their leader, his fatigue suddenly came back in full force. He used every last drop of power he mustered and finally collapsed on the floor as his consciousness was leaving him. Before succumbing, it was able to hear Akeno screaming his name. When Issei woke up, he found himself in a room that was not his, but looking at the surrounding, recognized as the guest room located in Akeno's room. When he tried to get up, he felt a bit of weight on his hand, so he turned his attention only to find that Akeno was located near him, gasping his hand for dear life as he noticed that she was asleep next to him. Trying to recall what had happened, his memories of the events that transpired slowly resurfaced as he remembered what had happened. A group of devils suddenly appeared out of nowhere with the goal of kidnapping him with reasons he had no idea. They tried to kill Akeno, but he somehow found the strength needed to protect her and finally managed to master his breath, which annihilated all the remaining devils, including the 10-winged devil leader. But then his memory became a blue, so he guessed he must have collapsed at that moment. He suddenly felt Akeno stir in her sleep, meaning that she was about to wake up. Sure enough, her eyelids slowly opened, revealing her beautiful violet eyes. Upon seeing Issei awake, she quickly embraced him, enhancing his head into her decent developed chest. For a 7-year-old, the perks of being born fallen, she started sobbing, thankful that he was awake. Thank God, you are all right, Issei. I was worried when I saw you collapse. I thought you died, she said, tears poured out of her eyes. Seeing this, he embraced her, trying to soothe her as he rubbed her back. I'm okay, Akeno-chan. Sorry for making you worry so much. He tried to best to reassure her to continue. Also, are you okay? I remember that those bastards injured you, and I wanted to make sure you are alright. Slowly getting out of his embrace and staring him right in the eyes, she immediately replied, You idiot. You were injured way worse than I was taking those devils, and yet you were worrying about me instead of yourself? Issei could tell from her voice that she was extremely worried about him, which made him feel sad at causing her to feel this way. He used his thumbs to wipe her tears away. You are my best friend, Akeno-chan, so of course I am going to worry about your safety. I am just glad I was able to protect you, he told her as he gave her a smile, showing that he meant every word of it. His sincerity caused her to blush as she dove her head back into his chest and enjoyed his embrace. Eventually, he separated and Issei asked her, "Can you tell me what happened when I lost consciousness? Since I'm guessing a bit happened considering that I know I was not able to finish them all." He asked her, to which she nodded as he retold him everything that happened when he passed out, from Akeno's perspective a few hours ago. So we're going into Akeno's perspective, scene break. After Issei launched his devastating breath, Akeno marveled at the power of her best friend unleashed. Once again, she was reminded of how strong Issei was compared to her. Hers she was. Barely able to defeat a two-winged angel, and yet he managed to deal critical damage to most if not all of them, even managed to defeat their leader as well as the others with his last attack. However, her wonder was cut short as she felt Issei fall. "Issei! Issei!" She screamed with all of her might, quickly running towards her without fearing for the worst. She was extremely worried as she picked him up and checked to see if he was still breathing. To her relief, she saw his chest rising slowly, and that he simply fell unconscious from her resulting attack. It shows that he placed every ounce of power he could into his last attack. She wanted to quickly get back home and get his wounds checked out. However, the reality had other ideas. From the smoke, the remaining devils who survived, the blast came into the open, looking at the devastation caused by their target, still not believing what was in front of their very eyes. "Holy shit, that Browet is a fucking monster," one of them shouted, although the thought was reciprocated by every single remaining survivor. "I know. I cannot believe a mere brat was able to defeat so many of us, including Paima-san. We severely underestimated this brat, despite knowing that he is Ophis' spawn," one of the remaining six-winged devils said. Clearly enraged at the state they were reduced, but once he saw Issei unconscious, his attitude, a full 18 as a smirk, appeared on his face. "Well, well, well, it seems the monster's finally hit his limit. I have to admit, for a moment, I did not believe we would survive this ordeal, but it seems Lady Luck favors us today. We may have lost almost half of our group, including our leader, but it seems we'll be able to complete our objective here," he said as he slowly made his way towards Issei. Seeing this, Akeno immediately jumped in front of Issei and shouted, "I will not let you touch him." Seeing the six-winged devil started laughing, which accompanied by his companion's laughter. My, for a fallen angel weakling, you certainly are very brave," facing towards her with the same awful smirk he wears. "Brave yet also extremely foolish. How do you expect to stop us? Unlike that monster laying there, you are very weak." Seeing him make his way towards them, Akeno gathered whatever remaining magic she could and shot it towards the approaching devil. As the holy lightning making its way towards him, he simply snuffed. And prove his point earlier, he simply waved his hand. That was all that required to dispel the attack from the frightened Akeno. "You see, you cannot do anything to stop us. While it's true the holy attribute is, in fact, our biggest weakness, your level of power is much too weak to be able to damage a four-winged devil, let alone myself, who is even stronger. As I demonstrated, your attack was not even able to phase me. Even if I let your attack hit me, it would not even have counted on the level of a mosquito bite. Anyways, this shit has taken way too long in my opinion. We will have to take that by, and he will pay for what he did to us." Looking at her, he suddenly got a flash of inspiration on how to torment the boy. "Oh, I just got an excellent idea to make him suffer. It seems the abomination had cared for you very much, considering how far he wanted to protect you from harm. How about this? I will ensure when he wakes up, the first thing he sees is your head on a spike." Ha! Oh, I cannot wait to see the look of despair when he realizes that he failed to protect anything as he struggles were all useless. "What a pleasant sight that will be, aren't I right, boys?" he asked his comrades, who all nodded and even laughed at the suffering, which disgusted Akeno to her very core. Yet she could do nothing but let her few tears powerless to do anything. Her look despaired thought immeasurable joy to a six-winged devil as she started gathering a lot of demonic power. His hand and pointed it towards them. "Time to die, fallen angel," he said as he shot the blast of generic power. Knowing her end was in sight, she simply embraced Issei. She closed his eyes, waiting for the inevitable demise. All of a sudden, the barrier of them broke as the immense amount of holy lightning intercepted the demonic energy. Quickly dispelling it, made contact with it. Akeno opened her eyes to see what happened and relieved to saw her father, bathed in holy lightning, standing in front of them. However, this time she bore witness to the side of her father she had never seen. In front of her stood a very enraged Barkle, glaring furiously at the devils. "How dare you shits harm my daughter," he shouted as he released a charge of holy lightning. Towards the devils, unlike her daughter's attacks, his attacks obliterated from existence any devils that stood in its range. Seeing the fallen angel already made his appearance caused the devils to jerk away in fear, knowing no one stood a chance against him. Yet, their fear was not taken a notch higher when they saw who stepped behind Barkil, making their way forward, enraged Ophis, followed by Great-red. The power radiating from them was immeasurable and caused the many devils to pee in their pants, knowing who stood before them. Luckily or unluckily, they did not recognize the man standing before them was Great-red. If they did, they most likely would have died from shock the instant they both saw Dragon's God enter their view. "Oh shit, it's Ophis! Everyone retreat now!" One of them shouted with extreme fear. However, before they could take one step, an overwhelming amount of killing intent directed towards them, which rendered them immobile. Even Barkil was flinching at their power, even though their rage was not directed towards him. "None of you vermin are going anywhere," stated Great-red as he mentioned his hand upwards as he newly constructed barrier around them for multiple reasons. The first being the obvious one, to prevent any of the accursed devils to escape from them. They have harmed his son and they will regret it very painfully. The second reason is to able to contain the release of the power that is emanating from both dragon gods, since they are beyond enraged at this point. And it is time to take every single fiber of their being to keep their powers from exploding outwards and destroying the entire country of Japan and all of its resistance. In the supernatural world, there was the fact that every supernatural being agreed upon to never cause a dragon's outrage unless you have lived to see another day. Dragons have always been one of the strongest, if not the strongest species to have roamed the world. It is the reason to have many feared them, and even hunted them down. However, they become the most dangerous creatures when angered. Even a low-level dragon when outraged can cause widespread destruction. Heck, it took down 3 factions including God and the original 4 devil kings to make a temporary truce amongst the devils, to deal with the 2 enhanced heavenly dragons Albion and Drake. And even though they succeeded, hundreds of thousands of people died in the conflict. This illustrated the entire world to not mess with an angry dragon, because if you may not live to see another day, angering the dragon gods is something no faction, even the Hindu faction, would ever dare to attempt unless they face extinction. These devils are about to learn the hard way it means to anger not one but both of the dragon gods. What happened next was not a battle, but rather a one-sided slaughter, as they all completely obliterated all of them from the face of existence. Even the surrounding park vanished, leaving only destruction and ruin in its wake. Many of the devils were tortured to death by Ophis as she exploded each one of their limbs, one by one, making sure to make all of their death as excruciating as possible before death embraced them. Great-red simply evaporated each one of them. He did not care to maim or torture them. All he cared about was to make them pay for what they did as his sons to his son, and they were like insects. He would simply crush them. In the end, not a single devil remained in sight. "It is finished," Great-red said stoically, as he looked at the surrounding destruction his wife and him caused, with little bit of help from Barkil. "Don't you think you overdid it a little?" Barkil asked, looking at the ruined scenery in front of him. "Sorry, my friend, but we needed to let out a bit of steam, as you know. They all deserved every bit of it for what they did to our children," he answered him back. "They deserved far worse than that," Ophis added angrily, still not over the fact that her little Issei was harmed. Great-red walked next to her and brought his hand near their waist and embraced her, which managed to calm her down a bit. "You are right. We should fix this mess before heading home. Leave that to me," as Great-red snapped his fingers and damaged the park, and its surroundings immediately disappeared and everything returned to normal. One never guessed the apocalyptic massacre occurred there. Ophis then went to pick up her unconscious son, where she caressed her son's face as her anger shifted to sadness, seeing the poor state of Issei. Barkil did the same for his daughter, as she barely had any strength to stand up after everything she's been through. End of Akeno's explanation. So we're back with Issei and Akeno talking now. "Afterwards, our parents took us back home and treated our wounds. Auntie Ophis has been taking care of you every day. It took much convincing to pry her off of you." "I see. Thanks for filling in the blanks for me, Akeno-chan. I didn't get the chance to say this, but I'm sorry for everything that you have been through. For whatever reason, those devils were after me, and you would not have been hurt if it weren't for me," he suddenly said as he moved towards the floor. Akeno embraced him. "It's okay. You protected me from them just like you promised. I'm really glad you are alright as well." As they were consoling each other, they heard a small laugh coming from the door. It seems I was interrupting something. If this means seeing my daughter react like this, then maybe Issei should get injured a bit more, she jokingly said, as quickly separated each one of them big blush on their faces. Although Shuri was teasing them, from her tone, you could tell how relieved she was to see them awake as well. She approached them and sat down near Issei. I'm so relieved that you are all right, Issei. She smiled as him who uncovered from his blush, and he smiled back. Yes, Auntie Shuri, I'm fine. Dragons are very resilient after all, at least according to my dad. I also wanted to thank you so much. If it wasn't for you, God knows what would have happened to Akeno. You managed to protect her from those devils despite being injured, and so from the bottom of my heart, I thank you. She sincerely told him as she bowed her head. Seeing this, Issei started waving his hand left and right. Please don't bow to me, Auntie. Akeno is my best friend, but more than that, I see you all as part of my family. I will protect those I care about. This is the sort of person I want to be, he told her. She responded by giving him a hug. Aw, what a fine young man you'll turn out to be. It seems that Akeno will be in good hands, she casually said, which surprised Issei. Wait, what did All of a sudden, the door burst open, and all of them turned their attention towards it to see who caused the commotion. From the entryway they saw it was Ophis, who, as soon as she sensed her son awake, quickly bolted towards his room. Seeing his awake and healthy, in bursts of she saw no one coming. She rushed towards him and embraced him into her chest, while a wellful of tears dripped down her face. Issei, my baby boy, I'm so grateful you are alright. I'm sorry you had to go through all that pain and suffering. What a horrible mother I am to allow such a thing to happen to you. While Issei was grateful for his mother's concern, her breasts were currently suffocating him as she was using a bit more of strength than he intended to, trying to escape her grasp to catch his breath. But to no avail, and all of his strength pales in comparison to his mother. However, salvation came to him very soon in the form of his father. Ophis, calm down a little bit. You're suffocating the poor lad. Are you trying to finish what those devils started? His father told Ophis. Quickly realizing he was right, she let go of her son, who took a few deep breaths. Ophis blushed a little at what she did and told Issei she was sorry, but Issei told her that it was okay. He then looked at his father and thanked him for his save. Great-red patted his boy and gave his own embrace. Well done, my son. I am extremely proud of what you accomplished, and like your mother, I am extremely happy that you're safe. He let go of Issei afterwards as Barkil came behind and knelt down in front of Issei to give his heart embrace as well. Issei, my boy, thank you. Thank you so much for doing what I couldn't in protecting my daughter. If it wasn't for you, she would have not been with us. For that you have my eternal gratitude. Thank you so much, Issei heard him say, as he could tell from his voice that he was crying with relief, showing how much he meant every word. Issei returned his embrace and said, no problem, Uncle Barkil. Like I told Auntie Shuri, I will always protect those I care about. Great-red patted Issei on his head again. Proud of his answer, Ophis gave him a wonderful smile, illustrating how proud she was of her son as well. Now, Issei, although we are already heard of most for what happened from Akeno, I would like you to tell us the events that occurred from your perspective if you do not mind. Issei nodded and began explaining everything that occurred since the moment they entered the park to the point where he lost consciousness. Shuri and Barkil once again reminded of how close Akeno came to lose her life. Were it for not Issei, Ophis was furious that those worthless devils harmed her son, and also proud of her son for his strength. Great-red was equally proud of his son and also realized that he may have unconsciously used the ability that stems from his domain during his battle of the devils. Very interesting. From what you've told me, it appears that you activated an ability called Distortion. In its true form, the ability allows you to distort reality like its name suggests, making something out of nothing and making the impossible possible. In simpler terms, it's just like a dream where anything you can imagine becomes real. What you accomplished was basic form of ability. If I allowed you to react in a burst of speed and unthinkable from your distance in order to intercept the attack that was headed towards Akeno, he explained to his son. But how come I couldn't activate it again afterwards? You must have activated the ability subconsciously. Your strong desire to protect Akeno from harm must have brought out the ability within at that moment. But your body is too weak to handle the continuous power and stress of my abilities. Still, for you to activate subconsciously this early illustrates the boundful potential you hold within you, my son. I have never been prouder of you, my boy, Great-red stated, which Issei caused a smile with a blush. His mother also agreed with his father. Anyways, what is your take on this, Barkil, as you have more experience handling devils than us? To which started thinking before answering. From what Issei and my daughter told us, at first I thought it was a group of stray devils who happened to come across our kids, but this felt too organized to be that. They even knew that Issei was Ophis' child, which makes it all the more puzzling how they found out considering that you've been keeping a low profile and not interacting with anyone but us. And before you ask, I swear on my family that none of us have ever told a single soul about you. I can stake my life on that. The dragons nodded, both trusting it wasn't them. They develop a friendly relationship with them and know that they would not put out any one of them in jeopardy. Barkiel continued, they have been carefully planning their moves. Until Issei was vulnerable, they trapped him in a barrier which prevented even you guys from sensing the danger and ambushed them. We were lucky that Issei was able to destroy part of the barrier which allowed you to sense in danger of our children. Wouldn't be with us today. The question becomes, who is bold and stupid enough to even attempt a kidnapping, knowing Issei is the son of a dragon god? I can safely say that none of the three factions would ever attempt a suicidal activity like this. They do not wish to invoke your wrath on them. If it was the fallen angels, Azazel would have warned me about it. The devils would have most likely evacuated the area or even sent 4 Mowers to attempt something like this. Lastly, I don't see Michael and the angels targeting an innocent child no matter which species they belong to. So then this would be the efforts of a rogue devil group, which would further indicate that this was indeed done by the stray devils. If I had sources to investigate, it may have been able to come to solid rogue devil conclusion. However, unless I bring Azazel to help us, it would be extremely hard for anything to do. Anyhow, since their attempt was failed, they may have been trying to recuperate and try again. So I suggest we keep our kids within eyesight at all times until we can be sure that they are safe from any of their attempts, Barkiel stated, as everyone agreed with his decision as well. They all decided to end this little meeting in order to allow everyone to some much needed rest after all the stress the incident caused. Unknown to Issei, however, was that Akeno failed to mention or was too embarrassed to let him know of something that happened before their parents saved from their attack, so it whispered in few words. As she embraced Issei awaiting her demise, she whispered, "I'm sorry, Issei. I love you." Now to the old Mao faction headquarters. Unbeknownst to Ophis and the rest, there was a survivor from the group that assaulted Issei and Akeno who observed the entire situation from afar and quickly evacuated. They could sense to obliterate them. Now, he was making his way towards the leader to explain everything that transpired, knowing that they would be displeased with the results. He opened the doors leading to the room where all the 3 descendants of the Maos were discussing their future plans. They turned towards him, wanting to know who disturbed their meeting. Beelzebub was clearly annoyed at this and snapped at the poor fellow. "Why have you interrupted our meeting? You better have a good reasoning for wasting our precious time." The devil gulped and took a deep breath before answering him. "My lords, I'm a part of the group that has been assigned to kidnap the spawn of Ophis, and I came to relay the news." "Then off with it, let's hear it." The devil explained the events that occurred, as Beelzebub was furious while the other 2 was displeased that their plan had failed. "You are all so damn useless," Beelzebub screamed as he shot the block of demonic power towards the messenger, killing him instantly. He then proceeded to smash the table in front of him, trying to dispel his anger, but with little success. "Damn it! How are we supposed to acquire Orpheus's power? We conducted in order to force it to give us only for it to end in failure. At the time, and manpower wasted all for nothing. Letting his demonic power, which forces subordinates to run outside, and they face the fate as their earlier brethren, leaving the only 2 descendants to deal with him." "Calm yourself, Shalba. You are disgracing the title of Beelzebub with this display," Catherine told him. Shalba turned his attention towards her, sneering, and sneered by Lear. "Don't you dare mock me, Katria. This was all your idea in the first place. It ended in failure. I knew I should have sent one of us with those idiots to ensure success, yet you both denied it. This time, courtesy Amandas responded to him." "Do not be a fool, Shalba. You know as well as I do we could not have gone with them. Unlike our servants, Orpheus would have definitely been able to recognize this. The last thing we want for it is to get in our way. Based on how the situation went for them, it seems we underestimated the boy, but in the end, they were all obliterated by Orpheus. If, when we saw that she saw us, she would have instantly known it was us, and her wrath would have been descended upon us. Our ambitions would have ended then and there." "Is that what you want, Shalba?" Curiously vented towards him. Usually, Curiously is always calm, but seeing Shalba insult the woman he loves invoked his anger. Catchlita continued after him. "Thankfully, from what he told us, those idiots did not reveal any important information regarding our allegiance, so they would likely believe the group to be a stray devils and not suspect it was us who orchestrated everything. It is a real shame that we will not be able to acquire Orpheus's power, but we need to cut our losses and move on. Any further assault on Orpheus's spawn will redirect her anger at us, which is something we cannot afford at present time," Katra calmly explained to both colleagues. then what the fuck do you suppose we do? Unless you forgot we need the dragon's power in order to upstart the fake Maos and reclaim our rightful place in the underworld. We simply must find the source of power. It would seem to have no choice but to contact him for help. I contacted him once before and he said he'd be happy to offer his aid as long as we help him with a few things, she told them. Eventually, Xiaobo reluctantly agreed with his fellow Mao, as his goals took priority over everything else. He will have his revenge against the new Mao, and it will become the ruler that he was always meant to be, whatever the sacrifices need to be made. And that is Chapter 7, The Will to Protect. And that is where I'm going to stop. And I know there was only one chapter, but I'm pretty sure that one chapter was like close to 30 minutes or even 40 minutes at that. So once again, thank you for all the support, that you guys really do like this stories. Even after a month, it still is able to hit like 2,000 views in a day, which is just incredible. Not that the views even matter to me. I'm just glad that I have people that, like, no matter what I do, they'd like to listen to my voice. I noticed all the nice compliments down in the comments section down below saying like, oh my gosh, the only reason why I listen to, like, you know, like, your voice, it's just amazing, like, thank you. Like, seriously, thank you for all the compliments, even though I just got like a normal ass voice, but appreciate it. So once again, let's try to hit like 300 likes. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what's coming next. So basically, this is going to be What If Issei Was the Son of Great-red Part 4. Then we have What If Issei Finally Lost It, the movie, followed by What If Issei Finally Snapped, congruently, hopefully going on with What If Naruto Was Betrayed. So that is all we have coming. Thank you guys so much for the support. Seriously, it's absolutely been amazing. 23,000 subscribers, 30K on that grind, baby. You already know the vibes. Hopefully, dude, I'm going to try to hit like 50,000 subscribers by 2023. That would be an absolute blessing. And without further ado, Spartanic Arts, DXD, out.